What's up? Welcome back to the Tabletop Nights official podcast, Board Game Bites.
Yeah. It used to be called Tabletop Nights Bites, but that didn't quite work.
No. We had bites and then fights and, there's a lot of things. So, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed episode 1. We loved all the feedback of nothing that we got. So it means it's the absolute perfect show.
Correct. Or no one heard it.
Yes, that's true.
That's the other option.
So it is available on Spotify and it is a video podcast on YouTube as well. So if you prefer to listen to it on the go, then you can do that as well. We sort of, we started the podcast, the video cast, with the idea that we're going to do it fortnightly, and at the time we were like, oh, we've got so many things to talk about. And then right before we start to record this episode, we're like, we've got absolutely nothing to talk about.
I researched. By the way, I'm Greg, he's Victor.
Yes, sorry.
Just in case you want to know. No, I had actually done a bit of research, but you just looked at me blankly, and so I thought, well, that's all right. That's okay. It's just an open conversation.
Absolutely, and it's not just board game related as well. We can talk about...
we can talk about...
everything.
Underpants, those bamboo underpants that
actually
don't chafe.
Have had bamboo socks before, and they do feel quite lovely on the feet.
Oh, I've had bamboo like sheets, I think.
Yeah, bamboo. Yeah, they breathe quite well. How about my new room setup? Do you like it?
The studio looks awesome.
Yeah, so we've got a few studios, and they're both sort of like, if you think about it, they're both sort of like shockingly impressive. If you think about it,
I think half the stuff in here is mine, but that's okay. So my camera, my backdrop.
No, this is my camera. These are all mine, except this one here, which you can't see. And there are a few board games that belong to Greg that's in here as well. But no, I've actually set up a lot of really cool pop culture stuff. So I've got a retro gaming section.
And we've got some new tech bits which help us reduce the editing effort.
Exactly. Sure. So I went to Greg's shop, Boss Board Games in Mentone. That's his shop. Fantastic little store as well. I love it there. I like spending time with you there, Greg. It's good times.
It's quite romantic.
It is actually. But he was able to actually show me his setup out the back. And I was always a little hesitant to sort of go ahead with that sort of setup.
He was worried about the auto flicking and stuff like that between cameras.
So you would all know about the Stream Deck. So this lets me sort of switch from overhead to side cam, which I can actually show you real quick.
Which obviously can be an issue if you forget where you're on.
Yeah, so that's the side and back to face, if that's even work, I'm not sure. But yeah, so we just recorded a video. What did we play again? Revive.
We played Victor. Spoiler alert, don't bother watching it. He smashed me. Like, absolutely, don't watch it.
I feel bad when I just learn a game and then I beat the person that taught me. But that's the fun. That's the part of the fun.
But it makes me want to play it again straight away. I like that effect where, okay, I've been whooped here. How many things did I do wrong? What do I do right next time?
Yeah, absolutely. Which we can talk about that game a little bit more later because it sort of goes hand in hand with some of the topics we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
But just quickly, while we were recording that, there were a few times where I did forget to sort of switch camera a little bit. So we'll see how that edits out, but it's all a process, and that's all this is. So. Okay. We had a few people last week that were a little unhappy with our title of, Gloomhaven RPG details. But,
did they?
Yeah, on Reddit. So I'm not posting there anymore. No, it was, they thought that we were going to have new details, I guess, but we were just talking about what we thought it would be like. So, you got to use those clickbaity titles.
So they're accusing us of clickbait.
Yes, which is YouTube in a nutshell.
We are the first people who have ever done it. Yeah.
So this one's called, We Have Donald Trump on the Podcast.
Yeah. Topless?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Topless girls in the board game.
No, you can't say that. Cut that bit out.
Cut it out. No. So yeah, everything we do is trial and error, and we don't do it for money. I think this month we're negative about $2,000.
We support ourselves. We're not so look. The more love you can give us, the more content we can get on, and then we can stop with the clickbait stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, that's true because we essentially do this hobby because we love board games. That's why we made the channel to support the hobby and vice versa. So we appreciate every comment, every like, every subscription. We don't mean to do clickbaity stuff to mislead, but it is a part of it all.
I didn't do that heading. It was
that's me. Yeah, I'll be doing the headline of this one too. So whoa, big news. But what are we going to talk about today? I think.
Well, we've had we should do a couple of updates on where we've been at.
Yes.
Maybe from the last podcast. So we did talk about Mythic games. and issues going there with people not getting their pledges. Literally, the Last Saga hasn't had an update in 4 months, I think it is, or Anastia, one of the two. So they've both dropped off the planet. But
it's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and I get it, and I don't want to rehash the old stuff, but I've gone to Kickstarter now at least 3 times to say, can you please publicly come out and tell us what's going on, what people can do, how you support us, is anyone breaching your terms and conditions?
Yeah, yep.
And they just come back and go, can you please log in under your user ID and submit a report on? And I go, no, this should be a broad, general media release.
Yeah.
So everyone can. It shouldn't just be about me and what I want, because I'm only one of the many, many thousands of people who are currently worried about their pledges.
And this is another thing. It's all also letting them do another Kickstarter before they've finished their old one. I think that's a big problem.
Well, that
too.
would be okay if you were delivering, and they're currently not.
Exactly. So I even have one. I'm not going to name the company because they still update the Kickstarter and they're not asking anymore. But I know they've released another 2 or 3 games since this one I backed in 2019.
Right.
So they're still, in their defense, doing updates, but it's almost like, if they were not to deliver on this, has Kickstarter sort of allowed them to still take money for other games when they probably shouldn't have? You should maybe have 1 or 2 under your belt fully done before you can start releasing 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah, look, their terms and conditions seem to be clear that they shouldn't be doing the wrong thing by us, but I'm actually starting to be more annoyed at Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Who have remained absolutely silent on this. And it's really not fair. And to be honest, they are shooting themselves in the arse, because people will start not trusting Kickstarter. I've already seen comments on several saying, just use GameFound.
Yeah.
Go straight to GameFound. Go and use X. Go and use something else other than Kickstarter, because they're starting to not trust you. So Kickstarter, please respond in a way that is meaningful. And to be honest, people would probably go, you know what? I don't care about my pledge, but now we know you've actually taken some action.
In that you give a shit.
And you give a shit, and you're going to give us some comment.
It's scary.
Because, seriously, I would think if this was just an Australian company doing this, I could go to a lawyer, no win, no fee kind of place.
Yeah,
and they would say, well, this is valid for a class action.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's not just... And I don't think the crowdfunding companies can just wipe their hands of this and say it's not our fault. They are an intermediary who takes over $7 billion. Now, if you go and look at the front homepage on Kickstarter, it says, we've supported over $7 billion worth of projects. Well, okay, well, if 10 million of that is just one company not helping us out, that's a problem.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Get onto it.
100%. It's like they're going to give up how much they made and give that back to the people from that project. They've already taken that money.
Look, they're taking a commission. That's fine.
Commission of nothing, though. Like, nothing was backed. If the user's losing the money, they should too, to some extent.
Well, yeah, look, that part is definitely clear in their terms and conditions.
Yeah.
But they do say that if someone's not delivering, if someone's not providing regular updates, which Mythic are not, that's against the terms and conditions. So therefore, what are the protections for us? There is no talk about any protection for a backer.
Imagine being like, let's go see this movie. Then you go in there and they're like, you paid for the ticket, but we're actually not going to show movie.
We're going to put on, what's something really lame? What's really pop culture lame? Come on.
We're going to put on Big Bang Theory.
Don't.
I like Big Bang Theory.
You're going to upset. No, I've never liked
Big Bang Theory.
I've never liked Big Bang Theory.
I love that joke.
I find the jokes too base.
They are. I actually really quite like that joke. But it is a serious thing. And I think that, I hate to say this, but in my opinion, I know we probably differ slightly. That to me is the board game industry at the moment. It's sort of like everyone knows they can make a lot of money right now because we're hungry to back pretty much anything.
Well, Kickstarter though are gonna, again, people will start going, you know what? If someone doesn't have a good reputation already, I'm less likely to now want to... Because imagine if you're a new designer...
Yeah.
And you go, should I go on Kickstarter? I'd be going, you know what? It's got a bit of a bad reputation. It's leaving a sour taste in people's mouths.
Yeah.
Particularly as a new designer, are people going to trust that person, you said before? So they need to fix this because there's also a lot of rubbish gets put on there, and that's fine because we're pretty savvy, the game boarders. They'll go, that looks a bit lame, and it won't go anywhere. Fine. But the big production numbers, we're starting to get really wary of that now. So, which is why I've always said I'm happy to go back to something like Pampero or Revive or whatever it is, where it's a simple single box solution with a really good solid game in there.
Yeah, which sort of goes to our next topic of, there's so much. Like, you've backed 2 massive ones lately. You recently just got Masters of the Universe, and I know it was your decision to go all in with that one. But the amount of extra content, there's nothing wrong with free stuff, especially when you're hitting the stretch goals and stuff. But is anyone actually playing this stuff? Wouldn't you prefer them to spend more effort on the core game as opposed to already thinking about expansions and new content before the game's even released?
Yeah, let us know in the comments, because I see that now as, and again, I'm as guilty as anyone of backing this stuff, is... is it ever going to come to the table? Are your friends happy to keep playing the same game for the next 12 months while you go through all the content? And they may well be.
Yeah, it's a little hard with Kickstarter, again, or crowdfunding games, because they can't really give you... Actually, with Etherfield, they gave you expansions like a few months after.
And look, even games like Oathsworn and things like that, which are massive hits, and people are going nuts about it. Yeah. Again, I will probably go... Because I love board gaming so much... I can't spend it all on one game.
Yeah.
Like, even Frosthaven now, I've got the full all-in pledge. I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to sell it to someone who will love it and enjoy it fully.
Yeah.
Like, Gloomhaven, I probably played 9 scenarios and went, okay, I've played Gloomhaven now.
Yeah, so I actually played quite a lot of Gloomhaven. But yeah, I guess that is one concealed box. They haven't really... released multiple little expansions for this,
but you've done it the right way though, because you've got a fairly static group of friends who will do Frosthaven night.
Yes,
every fortnight, let's come over and we'll play 2 scenarios, right?
And it doesn't replace my whole board game hobby. Correct. Essentially,
whereas and again, that's one thing and it's one system, and you don't have to relearn the game every week, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you've got... And look, let's be honest, Masters of the Universe had some issues because it still had... I haven't even gone back and revisited the FAQs and seen where the rules are at, but the AI was a bit fiddly and some of the questions weren't answered. But I go, am I actually going to play through all those scenarios? And some of them are pretty snappy.
Yeah. Like we're thinking about playing a few more of the scenarios.
I definitely want to play the Greyskull one.
Yeah.
But then there was lots of questions about...
many.
Where does things land and...
So I like it. I like how they've done it with, I use Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle Earth as an example. They do release expansions, but they release it after a certain amount of time. So it's like, I did play through their previous expansion, and then 6 months went by and I played this and I played that, and now I can revisit that game, so it brings it back out to the table. But when you back a Kickstarter and there's 1,000 boxes that has to fill your shelf, it's like, that is scary to me. I would prefer just instead of giving me tiers where I get more content, give me a tier where I get a different box. Give me a tier where one's signed, where you know what I mean. That's what I would prefer, as opposed to free more
stuff
content.
with a few extra cards and scenarios and stuff in there. Yeah. I'm now just going, I don't need all the extras.
Yeah, replacement dice. Not extra dice, just it replaces it in this type of box.
Zhuzh it up a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I prefer that. Again, there's nothing wrong with some people love the huge expansions. Like, how many boxes of Joan of Arc do you have? Like,
I've got like a full bookshelf. I'd say there's like 13 boxes. And guess how many times I've played Joan of Arc, Time of Legends?
Like twice?
Never.
Okay. I remember you were trying to learn it at one stage.
I've never played it. And what happens was we then had to wait for 1.5 when the errata came out. And by that stage, I was over it.
And again, that just goes to show less is more. I would have much preferred them to release one awesome board game that was much smaller than a massive one and then have to release, new rules and blah, 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 blah.
Well, and it's like, because the components are amazing.
Yeah.
And the scale, because the minis are very small.
Yeah.
but like the dragon's huge, the siege engines are huge, the castle walls are huge. But then you look at it, and it's all this big grey plastic. You go, I'd probably want to paint it before I played it anyway. But look, I suppose to Journeys in Middle Earth, it was built on a great IP.
Yeah.
And a solid base in Mansions of Madness.
Yes.
So they already knew that system was going to work. And the app behind it is really good as well. So, but again, it's one big box, and let's go, okay, do you want to add in this little orky group that will do X?
Yeah, and the good thing about it as well is, again, because it was a solid core box, they've added rules as they've gone by, but they haven't really changed any of the previous rules, which always sort of annoys me because it always feels like then that core box is sort of pointless. Dark Souls did that quite a bit. Again, people were asking for these changes, but now I feel like weird to bring the original Dark Souls core box out because they say it integrates, but it doesn't integrate easily, especially again when you've got 20, 30 boxes, it's quite frustrating. I think Dark Souls, I don't play it much, and I've got about 8 boxes of Dark Souls stuff. And I feel like it's really hard to integrate together. And that goes the same with Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, so we've played that a couple of times on the channel. Go back and watch those.
Yeah.
Limited edition, because we won't be playing it anymore. But when I remember when I first saw that board, it looked like Dark Souls.
Yes.
Because it had just the little nodes you could go to. So was it the same game?
The way the monster moves, how he moves around you, then moves back, and the way his behavior deck is very similar. The way you act is a bit different. So with Monster Hunter World, you have your cards that you place out, and you get exhausted that way. Whereas with Dark Souls, it's cubes. So it is a very similar game.
But I remember you saying how grindy it started feeling when you were playing Dark Souls.
Yeah. I feel like it would be different with Monster Hunter World because it did have the sheet and it felt more like the video game. Whereas Dark Souls, it didn't really feel like the video game that much because you would unlock random equipment that you're like, I can't use this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And was there as much adventure stuff in Dark Souls?
No. So Dark Souls was very much, here's the map, here's the boss, and that's it. There's no backstory. There's no go do this or that. So they did expand on that, and that was really fun. But again, they've already released a new Kickstarter, Iceborne.
Good and bad with that, because you go, gee, that's hot on the heels of something that's just come out. And it was massive. And, of course, it gives them a chance to re-release previous content as well, which Kickstarter's doing that a lot lately, because when it was initially designed, it should always be new stuff coming out, not your chance to reprint your old stuff. And add a module on. Right?
Second editions can be quite frustrating, especially when they come out so quick to the first one. Because then it feels like you're like, oh, I've missed out now. I've got this old copy of this game, but there's already a new one, Even Dice Zone did that. Like, they've got their Season 1, and then they've done Season 1 renewal, and it's like everyone that has this old game is like, this is essentially garbage now. No one wants the old one.
The issue I ended up having with Monster Hunter World, production great, is I've lost the joy of adventure games. I don't want to be reading through it. Like, I'd rather play an RPG. I'd rather D&D and let's just riff it and see where we end up, right? Versus reading page after page. And look, some people love that stuff. Good on them. If I was going to do that, I'd rather go something like ISS Vanguard, where it's less reading and more let's do a different scenario. Even though Monster Hunter World has got all these boxes, it's basically a double-sided board, twice if you have the 2 core boxes. With nodes, you running around with slightly better weapons against slightly harder targets.
Yeah, and that's it. The nodes don't change. You don't get more movement angles, right?
They add in ponds and bushes
but
and things like that. But
the nodes are always in a square, essentially, So you're never now moving... making the movement never gets more difficult.
Well, maybe it does, and maybe later on you'll get super jumps and things like that. Like there'll be things, which I'm sure does exist. But I go, I'm going to be looking at the same square board, right?
Yeah.
Doing this puzzle,
Yeah.
because that's a puzzle,
Yeah.
while doing this puzzle, which is my cards, which is great, but I go, it's just not for me.
Yeah. And it's not.
If I want to play an adventure game like The Witcher Old World, which is coming out,
Yeah.
different zones, we're going to be competing for different things in different places. There's a bit of story element to it,
But not too much.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Let us know in the comments if you love those adventure style games, and maybe you've got a core group that really get into the role play elements of it. Don't know what attracts you to that stuff.
It's a very specific type of person. It's somebody that's like, it's a group that's willing to put time aside for that and almost sacrifice all the board games until they're finished with that. Well, you know what I mean?
When I backed Monster Hunter World originally, I don't think I really knew what it was going to be like.
Yeah,
because I do like the skirmish games.
Yeah.
But I can't see this one feeling any different other than it's more upgraded cards, upgraded moves, different monster.
Yes, Iceborne, you mean? Or
No, either of them.
Yeah, yes.
So Steamforged Games have done, this is the third release of a very similar system.
Yeah.
Will people who did Dark Souls come back for this one and that one? Or is it going to be new people come? And look, there's heaps of backers.
Oh, yeah, it's doing fantastic.
Like, they're doing well.
But I don't even know if... I think they did say somewhere that Iceborne, you can integrate it with Monster Hunter World, but I don't think you actually can. I think they're very different. I think they're very different games. They said that there is, but they don't have a system in place yet to make that happen.
Well, but I don't want to integrate it. I want something that feels different. I don't want something that feels... Why do I want to keep buying tons of content that
wouldn't it be better? Yeah, it's nodes, but it's not just a square. It's pieces sort of like Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, where it's different every time. That would be cool. That's what they should have done. Had 8 or 9 different map pieces that build different maps in different directions every time. That would have been fantastic. But yeah, Monster Hunter World Iceborne, not something I'm going to get because, again, I've already played Monster Hunter World and it was quite fun. But yeah, it's not something I'm going to back for sure.
So there's 668% funded with 9 days to go.
So I want to know if these people are people that
it's
missed out on the previous one and they're just jumping on this now, or did they love the first one? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, so did they miss it and now they're going for it? I don't know.
I don't reckon. I reckon it's just people that have already bought Monster Hunter World and they won't play it.
Who knows? Well,
or they'll play a scenario or two like we did and then they'll just hold on to it forever.
See, what I like about... So we'll just move on to Apex Legends for a minute.
Yeah.
Apex Legends, I've never played the video games, and I'm not actually very good at those sort of... what are those games called?
Battle Royale.
Battle Royales, where the territory's getting smaller, people are getting killed off, and you're sort of moving into the central zone. This, because you're playing teams, and you're making the decisions against,
it looks good.
Against other people versus an AI, does look really good, but it's actually... It's funded, but it's only 2,500 backers.
And we're not saying $700,000 Australian is nothing.
It's not peanuts, but...
The 2,600, that's not as many as I thought. And I've seen it all over Facebook as well. I've seen it in Facebook ads. Yeah, I reckon they would be a bit disappointed.
I'm probably more attracted to that.
Yeah.
Because my mate's having a decision about, okay, you go that way and I'll go that way, versus you go from that dot to that dot. And I'll do this dot over here.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit because of terrain and things like that. But it still feels like it's got more to it.
It looks cool. It looks really cool.
What's the other big one that's out at the moment?
Dead Cells.
I wasn't thinking about Dead Cells. It started with A, wasn't it? The Eon's Trespass. Eon Trespass.
Ah, yes.
So this is 4,653%.
Is this a second edition or is this...
Second printing plus all new content. See, now technically, Kickstarter's not for second printings.
Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure Aeon Trespass just came out, the first edition.
Well, it probably just recently, because by the time they get it to print... Now, you would hope that, and I don't know how much is changing, so whether they're going to get it out straight away, but it's a 9 points for our Board Game Geek, so it's...
Yeah, I know, but... When did it come out? That's what I want to know. I think it's a 2022 game.
It's certainly not a cheap game. They've got 6 backers and 3.7 million Australian. 6,000 backers.
Yeah, that's much better. But again, it's like, that frustrates me. It's like they're already, before the game's even out, they're already working on the second edition. You
would hope then if it's just come out, you'd be getting a little upgrade pack.
What's it called? Trespass Odyssey. There you go. 2022 is when it was on Kickstarter, which means
So I would say in this campaign, and I haven't read it, if something was amiss in the first edition, you'd be able to get a little, go into Game Found or wherever it is and get an upgrade pack to bring it up to spec.
I don't know 100% when AS Trespass came out, the first edition.
Yeah, look, again, I don't know what it's like. I have also backed, one of the last big ones I backed was Lords of Ragnarok, because I did like Lords of Hellas, so I am hanging out for that.
Yep.
That does have expansions, but they're like board game.
Yeah.
It feels like a module that bolts on, not on his 7 more creatures. It's something.
And you'll find that's roughly how my Kickstarter journey has gone as well. I was backing a lot of things that were like, the more minis and the more story, the better. But now it's just like I'm backing things that are just like self-contained in one box. You know what I mean? Nothing that's going to take over too much shelf space. Nothing that I feel like I'm going to be missing out if I don't get the next edition.
And also because of the channel, we want stuff. If we picked one game and we thought we could only play this one game for 6 months, it has to be the best viewing game ever.
Yeah.
That you guys are going to get all your friends and go, you have to watch this channel.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what's the point, right? The joy in us is seeing some new stuff, bringing it to you guys. And if we literally have just one big massive box, we're only going to play it on the channel once, because the second time it'll only get 100 views.
Yeah, exactly. And also that's the tough part about what we do essentially is we want videos that get a lot of views, and a lot of these Kickstarter games, they've already got completed editions like a year before the Kickstarter even releases. So it's before the Kickstarter even releases, there's already like 40 videos on it. And it's like, it's bullshit.
Look, don't get us wrong. We're still a fairly small channel.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we'd love 50,000 viewers.
Yes.
But publishers, if you're out there, people are starting to watch us. If you want a different vibe, a bit different energy to the standard, let's sit down and just go plonk, plonk, plonk. That's what we want to do.
And look, we're on a game box.
You don't show that one.
That's fantastic. This is a fantastic game.
No, it's good. I don't think we've ever played the final edition.
No.
So
it's a great game, though. I had a lot of fun playing Grey Eminence.
Because you like bluffing and bidding and stuff like that.
Yes,
so,
I do. Yeah.
Anyway, look, one of the other things we talked about in the last podcast was that I backed with Seismic.
Yes.
So it's that big one where you had to build rockets and...
Yes. Yeah, you're quite excited about that one.
I also... but Jason from Star Reach, the designer, has cancelled that one. It had funded, but I don't think it was hitting the heights he wanted, and he was getting lots of feedback about, well, it may not fit on my board game table, or it may not do this, or it's a bit expensive, or what could you... So he just went, you know what? I'm going to listen to that feedback. I put a comment on there saying, don't scale it back too much, because you can always find a board to put on your table if it wasn't... Like, if it's... You want it to fill your table. If you've got a pissy little board game table with an insert that only holds a 1 metre game, that's your problem, not mine. It was the scale that attracted me to it. Plus, looks like it had good, simple but strategic gameplay, right? Not overly complicated, but lots of fun going on. So he's trying to reduce costs. Now, obviously, when you start a campaign like this, people will freely give comments, and they've said, maybe it's a bit pricey. What could you cut down here and there? He's had lots of good feedback, so I hope it goes well. I hope you come back soon, Jason, because we would love to play it on the channel.
Yeah.
And I would say definitely don't downscale it too much, because that will lose some backers, because grand is good. You want the game that your mates walk past and go, OMG.
Like Red Alert?
Red Alert, or...
That to me is a game, like, that's board gaming to me. That was huge and big, you know...
That was about the first video we did.
Yeah, that's a very old one. Yeah. That's a great game. I'd love to play that again.
I'd play that again just for fun. Because I like the Memoir 44 system, and that's what it is, just with spaceships.
Move in,
Big dreadnoughts.
Yes. Yes. Scale. Yeah, you want games that are big sometimes, you know.
Giant Killer Robots, which came out of the Weta group.
Yeah.
You know, that did the Lord of the Rings films.
With
Big
Red
monsters like
Alert,
this.
the map, that was quite thin, wasn't it?
It was basically a silk cloth.
Yes.
That was from here to here.
So, yeah, it doesn't need...
Boom.
So, it was still massive, yeah? But it doesn't need to be, you know...
It doesn't have to be a neoprene mat
No.
or a wooden board, but I mean, the cloth was probably still expensive to
Yes,
make.
but it fits in a smaller
the
box.
scale was just good because it reminded you of those war movies where you would see the folks pushing around the ships with the big sliders.
Yeah, and it's like it almost feels like a miniatures game without having to dedicate hours to painting.
And it was simple enough.
Yes.
That you could just have fun with it.
Yeah.
I think you and I should do another one of those because that was
That
you
was
and Trav.
Trav, yeah, a very old video now.
It's one of the first. Well, it's one of the first ones we did because I
Yes.
was filming while you and Trav.
And
were
we
playing.
have the setup to do live stream that sort of stuff now. So
That'd
it doesn't
be a
have
good
to.
live stream.
It would be a fantastic live stream. You know, camera there, and there, like at each side.
Let's
We
do
move
that.
around the table. Yeah,
It
that
has
would
to be
fun.
on this table
Yeah,
or my home one because my home table's even bigger than this
it's
one.
huge.
So, Seismic, I hope you come back soon.
Please. I haven't really backed much else since last time. Ninja Sloths. Yeah, again, because it's like I am at
Someone
that...
came in and asked for that the other day in my shop. They said,
Oh,
"Do you
really?
have Ninja Sloths?" And I said, "I've never heard of it.
Yeah, because it's coming out soon.
It's not even out yet." Yep.
What's this? Zombicide. They've got a...
Oh, it looks Japanese.
Yeah, like a Japanese version. 160 backers. That's kind of cool.
Dead Cells. It's still only... What's Dead Cells? Let me have a look how that's going.
It's doing well.
It's not an expensive game though as well because you look at... I look at the backers. So there's nearly 7,000 backers and it's 900,000 Australian.
Yeah.
So that means it's a reasonable amount.
Yeah, and again, that's doing really well, and that is off a video game IP, which if you guys watched, I'm not sure you guys watched my upcoming Kickstarter games video, a lot of them were were video game IPs.
So what's with that?
I think it is...
Do you think that's a sellout when that happens?
I think it is a money grab. Like Apex Legends, for example, I think they would have done better if they just...
But would people back it? So if someone says we're going to do a Fortnite
Yeah.
or a Battle Royale, but it was just vanilla brand...
I don't think people are backing this because it's Apex Legends. I think people are backing it because they like the look of the gameplay. Again, like you...
How many did you call?
No, this is what I think. Because again, like you're like, oh, this looks actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
I've never played Apex Legends before.
I didn't know it was an IP.
I personally think, I reckon they would do actually better without having it as IP. I think the IP, if anything, sort of would turn more people away from it. Because it's just like, oh, it's a money grab. It's not going to be any good. You know, they're just ripping, you know, they're taking a name from a video game and they're putting it to a board game and there's no way they can make it the same. Because in Apex Legends, you're like zooming around the map, blah, 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 crazy, up and down. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid how fast it works. It doesn't translate to board games.
So let's say they did their own design and you could buy expansion packs of different teams.
100%. Their own design.
Like a space team,
with
an orc team.
With a cartoony, what's that game? Everdell, right?
Everdell.
Cartoony vibe. That's selling. That's what's selling right now. Yeah.
Because obviously, one of the costs would be paying for that IP.
Yes. If they had just done that, oh man, I reckon they'd have more backers.
Let us know in the comments.
Again,
what do you think?
I'm no Kickstarter expert. I've only got like 40 games backed, under my belt. Not even.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm just thinking if I don't tend to buy things on an IP. Because, I don't know, like if it was something Star Warsy, maybe?
Yeah, again, like Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle-earth I bought because it was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Daisy got it for me for my Christmas present. But yeah, there's not a lot of games that I actually back because of an IP. Like, most games actually I don't, to be honest.
Look, I've bought some Star Wars stuff because that's just what it was.
Yeah.
But I'm not a particularly big fan of... I can't even think what that Star was. The Imperial Assault.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like Descent. But I don't even particularly enjoy that game. I just bought one set to see what it was like. And I enjoyed the models in it.
Yeah.
They are really cool.
You buy... Look, as you can see, I love Star Wars. I have Star Wars on my wall. And I do buy IPs. I got a Harry Potter board game and stuff like that because it was Harry Potter. But in a game like this, where it's really difficult to copy what the video game is like, just make your own unique game at that stage, to be honest. Because you can't copyright gameplay, you know. They should have just made their own thing.
All right, well,
yeah,
good on them. Fair enough.
Yeah, in my opinion, they reach out to us.
You're allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah,
and you're allowed to be wrong.
Which is exactly what I am. Completely wrong.
Fine. Yeah. So, what have we played recently?
Well, yeah, we played Revive today.
I tell you what, I love the game, but I need to start thinking more. Because I don't know how you did it. But Victor was nearly 50 points ahead of me, and that's a lot.
That's how big the tracker is.
I was basically on my first lap. Victor was on his third lap. It was bizarre.
Yeah, and it's not like I consider myself a board game expert either. Just for some reason, something clicked with me pretty well. I get a little bit of luck as well.
And I often play badly against Victor. I don't think I've beaten you in a long time. I have to come up with something.
No, you beat me in...
Yawning Portal, we tied.
That's true.
It was an absolute tie.
Yeah.
What else have we played recently?
District Noir. You beat me in that.
Well, you won the one... Well, you won one, and I won the members video.
Yeah. But still...
But no one's watched, so be a member so you can watch it.
Revive was fun. Clask, you beat me in that.
Yeah, but that wasn't filmed either.
Yes, it is. It's on TikTok.
It's a little TikTok. Yeah, okay. Right. Everyone's going to go and watch that for 20 seconds.
He smashes me at dexterity games.
Yeah, I think we need more of those. All right, I'm going to go and find Red Alert.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, I think that'd be a great streaming one.
Absolutely.
Because it's so easy to play.
Yeah.
There's nothing hard about it.
Yeah.
The dice are funky. The models are awesome. I love, and it would fit on here.
Oh, yeah.
Just. I think because it would start going into the cup, so you might lose a dreadnought down the cup.
Yeah, it's a feature. It's the black hole.
What else?
That's one of the frustrating things about having a board game channel is when you have a look at our content. Again, the part ones always do, amazing. Part 2, 3, and da-da-da-da-da.
It always tails off.
Yes, it tails off, which is fair enough. But we can't play old games, essentially.
No, because, if you look at Dice Tower, right, they've got, they're a great channel.
Yeah.
They've got, 6 to 8 people who can be on screen, plus they're getting boxes of stuff coming in every day, so they're always up for their quick review. Quick that.
Yeah.
We buy 99% of the things we play.
99,
So the more we get donated to us to review or whatever, the better, because then we can actually get more content out for you that's interesting. But maybe tell us some games in the comments. What's something you would watch a few times? We know Dice Throne was pretty big for that.
Yeah, and we'll always have Dice Throne on the channel as the new stuff comes out. But again, we don't want to just play Dice Throne because then it sort of the new viewers don't want to watch Dice Throne.
We'll get the existing viewers will come to this channel worldwide to watch Dice Throne.
Yeah.
Get heaps of hits. But then what else?
I'm so bored of Dice Throne. I love Dice Throne. It's, it features heavily.
Victor's bored of the comments where people go, on round 3, your CP was 7. You should have done that. And that token always flips to that. And then that card goes there. And then you should have done that. And then
we don't play it for 6, 7, 8 months on end. And then we go back to we sort of forget a few rules.
No. And look, thanks for those comments because it's important to point them out because you play it again and you go,
wait a second.
We did forget that.
Yeah.
And look, we want to try and get it right every time, but we can't. It just doesn't work.
That is one of the reasons we don't do many how-to videos. Because it requires 100% precision all the time, every time.
And look, to be honest, John gets games, does it his way. Rodney Smith does it another way. Everyone's doing it. I think my Wingspan how-to, or the solo one, is the one that gets the most hits for that.
Yeah.
Would you like to see us do how-tos and then which games? But again, that's only good for new games that come out. And other than Kickstarters that we back and we get early because we're near China, closer, we're always behind the eight ball, so we don't feel it's worthwhile repeating someone else's how to play.
Hey, Dwarf Romantic did pretty well.
Hey. Now, someone came into me the other day, Mark. Hi, Mark, if you're watching the channel, and he said, Dwarf Romantic. He said, that's a puzzle that's been put into a board game box. Is it? He'd heard that it felt more like a puzzle
to some degree
than an actual game.
Hey, if you want to test it out, you can test it out on Steam. Because again, this is actually another video game IP.
I'd never heard of it
Yeah,
before.
well, it's a little Steam game. But this one did quite well on the channel.
Yeah.
This one,
that was you and Nick, wasn't it?
Yes, it's quite a relaxing game. Like, oh yeah, you play by yourself and you try to improve your own score essentially.
Oh, so it's not cooperative?
It is, yeah, to some extent. Yeah, it is. Like you can play. You can't play 6 people.
Overhead camera, come on.
Yeah, oh yeah. You can't play with 6 people.
We don't know if that's working now because he switched the screen
No,
off.
it should be.
Yeah.
You couldn't play with any more than 2, I don't think.
Yeah.
So it's a fun little game. It did really well on the channel.
It says 1 to 6?
Yes. No, you couldn't. You couldn't.
And what was the idea again?
So basically, the idea is to build. So you just say with this one here, for example, it says 6 houses. Mm-hmm. So your idea is to build 6 houses
surrounding.
So this one here is a failure essentially because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 linked up.
Right.
But you could keep going this way. You can't block off train tracks or anything like that. But yeah, like this one here is for Wheatfield. He's about to complete it here. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
And is this each player has a colour?
No, this is just it's a co-op game. So
So it is purely co-op.
I believe, if I remember correctly, yeah.
So it means like it's really a solitaire puzzle that you play with someone else.
Yeah, really nice, really fun.
So Mark,
game.
you were right.
But yeah, no, but really relaxing.
Not saying it's a bad thing. Just
No,
saying
but it's one of those games where it's like, oh yeah, it's like when people play Sudoku, those type of things where it's just like I'm going to try to beat my previous score, try to do really well.
I'm so glad you said Sudoku.
Why?
Because a lot of people say Sudoku.
Sudoku.
Yeah. Sudoku. They do.
So yeah, but it's one of those.
I'm a pedant. Don't worry about that.
Really easy to get to the table as well.
All right. Very good. What else? Have we played anything else recently?
Not really.
I haven't even played. Look, I'm teaching some games next week, but I played. I hope you don't mind. I gave our District Noir away to someone else.
That's fine. It was a free copy that we got from Pandasaurus.
It was someone who's a
game.
regular supporter of the shop and of the game nights.
That's why I gave it to you. Yeah, that's why I gave it to you.
Alan, I hope you enjoy that game.
It's a fantastic game.
Alan's he's not a spring chicken anymore.
Yeah.
He's a very savvy fella. He's retired, and he comes to our game nights, and he's now one of our subscribers.
Really?
He said, I found you guys on Tabletop Nights. And he said, and he's met Claire, because Claire's coming to the game night. And he goes, I think he's got a bit of a thing for Claire. I think he thinks she's the smart one in the team.
She is, yes.
He enjoyed watching Claire and Josh and everyone else except me. I think he's bored of me.
Yeah, no, because you're his like. You used to be his mentor, but he's outgrown you.
Huge shout out to Alan.
Yeah, I met him. Right, he came into the store when I was there.
Yep. Yeah. That's him. He's the one I go to District Noir to. Okay. And he goes, I have to pay you for it. And I go, no, you don't.
No, but you can become a member on that. Member of the Tabletop Nights.
And look, if you like this sort of stuff, please consider subscribing. Give us a like. Check out our Facebook pages. What else have we got?
We've got TikTok. You just got to search Tabletop Nights. It'll come up.
Yeah, you'll get this group from New Zealand, I think. And then search again, and you'll find us.
Search for the real Tabletop Nights.
The real Tabletop Nights. Yeah.
Copyright 2022.
So I think, thanks for watching.
Yeah, that's all listening. That's a podcast. Again, it's available on Spotify if you want to listen to it, or on YouTube if you want to watch it. And I guess you could listen to it if it's on YouTube as well.
And it's Board Game Bites brought to you by Tabletop Nights.
Absolutely. Until next time. See ya.
See ya.
Make sure you follow the Tabletop Nights, subscribe. And here's a previous video for you.